Hi, welcome to this new session in the course. And actually, we are going to take a break from our typical data science exercises that we have been doing for the past few weeks. And we are going to talk about other very important business aspects of Industry 4.0, starting with this whole revolution on digitalization. Industry 4.0, remember the first session that we had of the course. uh, Industry 4.0 essentially is part of the fourth industrial revolution. We have discussed why they are not equivalent, because Industry 4.0 per se is a German initiative, and fourth industrial revolution is a more global change in the way we are thinking about industries, we are thinking about manufacturing, we are thinking about operational excellence. In general, how we are thinking about the new business models, right? So when we are revolutionizing this whole industrial outlook, right? How we look at businesses, how we look at industries, uh, how we are looking at product designing, product manufacturing, right? Digitalization has played a very important role. Remember my first session where I had provided my personal opinion on whether truly it is a revolution or it is evolution, right? We can bring back that debate, right? So I'm going to argue that lot of these digitalization initiatives are once again not new. So we are definitely doing amazingly new things with those initiatives, but the initiatives, we have been around. We have been those initiatives have been around. We have been thinking about digital implementation of many ideas in manufacturing, particularly in designing, right? For a long period of time, from the invent of IT and computers in the late 50s and 60s and so on, right? So let us understand this difference between digitalization, and digital transformation, right? Here, so our argument always is this is the last two terms are not new per se, but they have been looked at in a very new way, right? So first argument is definitely it's not a wordplay. They do mean different things. So what do we mean by that, right? What do we mean by that? So first of all, digitization. What is digitization? What do you think digitization is? To me, digitization is a very simple transformation of analog to digital, right? Pure analog to digital conversion is digitization. So we are not changing the information, we are not changing the data, we are simply changing the format of the data from being analog to digital. Why do I need to get digital data, digital information? So that it can be processed automatically. So why is digitization important? Digitization is important not because of the process of converting analog to digital, but digitization is important because it enables me to do a lot of automation on top of it, because now the data is digital. I can analyze it, I can automate my processes. However, the automation of process itself is not digitization, right? That will come later, right? So for me, what is digitization? And I have mentioned the definition by Gartner. It is pure analog to digital conversion, right? The simplest example of digitization is then simple conversion of a scanned document, right? A document, I have a physical paper and I convert that I scan that paper, right? I scan this paper and get a PDF document out of it, right? That's digitization for us. Every organization at some point of time was doing a lot of analog things, and slowly they converted to digital way of thinking. Digitization probably was their first step. This is always, I mean, very few organizations, very few old organizations directly start with digital transformation. Old organizations start with digitization. Think about a hospital in your area, right? In India, at least, many of the old hospitals, many of the individual doctors' clinics, right? They are still maintaining medical records on paper. Now, if that doctor, if that hospital wants to say that, well, I want to get some of these things digitized, what they are doing is digitization. So first thing that they will have to do is convert these medical records from mere paper format into digital format, right? So they may have multiple options. Digitization cannot be done only, digitization is simply not scanning, right? It need not be scanning. It could be transcriptions, it could be transliteration, many things, right? There is a medical record, and I may hire an agency which will essentially type up all the information into actually a computer file, Word file, MS file, databases, right? That is also digitization, because I'm converting paper based information to information which can be stored in databases, which can be pulled, which can be retrieved, which can be stored, which can be archived, right? All that is possible. I mean, obviously I can archive a paper, but life of a paper is going to be only so much. If I digitize the information, I can hope to use that information for a longer period of time. So digitization is important. Digitization is important in the business context for many other reasons. Digitization is important because retrieval of information becomes faster, right? Imagine a patient visits the same hospital 5 years after the first visit. Now, if the patient was assigned a unique ID when she visited 5 years ago, simply by quoting the patient ID, the data can be pulled if the data is digital. If the data is not digital, then somebody has to code the file name or file number, right? And then somebody has to go fetch the file from the storage, which may be in some corner of the hospital, right? And you know how the paper deteriorates over a period of time. Most of these storage rooms are not temperature controlled and humidity controlled and all that, and therefore the probability that the paper goes bad is quite high, and therefore I may not even be able to retrieve the medical records of a person who is visiting me after 5 years. So in that sense, digitization helps. Digitization definitely helps. Many organizations, right? Only the new organizations think digital first, and therefore they don't even create data in the analog form. They start creating data itself in the digital form, and therefore they don't have to probably go through this exercise of digitization. But many conventional older organizations will have to go through this digitization to truly be part of industry 4.0, right? Taking an example from manufacturing, right? A simple conversion of mechanical physical drawings to CAD drawings is an example of digitization, right? Or converting a mechanical measurement to a record that can be read by a computer, right? Even that is a example of digitization, right? So this is digitization for me, right? Digitalization is something bigger. In digitalization, we are actually digitizing a process. We are not digitizing a document, digitizing a process, right? For example, many of you who are crediting industry 4.0 are actually students in some academic institutes, right? So think about an academic institute process, right? So let us say that you wish to credit courses for the semester. So in many academic institutes in India and abroad, this process has now been digitalized, right? What do I mean by that? Student logs into a IT system and then she chooses, these are the courses I wish to credit for this semester. Some of these courses may be core courses for them, some of these courses may be elective courses for them, and they declare that these are the courses that I wish to credit in this semester. And now their faculty advisor or somebody in the institute or in the university approves them, and then the courses get reflected in their record, right? So that is digitalization of the crediting process, digitalization of the course registration. In many universities, I know many universities where this registration process has not been digitalized yet. It has not been digitalized yet, which essentially means that student has to write a letter, a physical paper letter saying that I wish to credit these courses, and then university enters them in their records, still probably in some register somewhere, right? So that is an analog process for me, whereas somebody logging into an IT system declaring that these are the courses that they wish to credit is a digitized version of that process, right? Is a digitized version of that process. So essentially, what is digitalization? Digitalization is the change of processes, right? To change the processes. Once again, a Gartner definition, not my definition. So essentially we are talking about a process. So slowly we are moving towards a completely digital business, right? Here the focus is not on individual elements like a document or a drawing or a measurement. It is about the process. So if we convert the process of gathering mechanical measurement from analog to digital, that is digitalization, right? CAD CAD software is an example of digitalization, because we are actually converting the process of creating drawings. The process of creating drawings, if it is physical, it will create physical 2D sheets. Now I will get electronic drawings, right? So that essentially is digitalization. So CAD software is an example of digitalization, right? Once again, examples from manufacturing, PLC logic, right? PLC logic or PID control is an example of digitalization, right? For example, if you have most of the manufacturing processes, most of the manufacturing organizations now have ERP systems, right? So ERP can be automated to certain extent, right? So ERP can be trained to say that, well, identify some of the clues for me to for me to initiate maintenance, right? And that can be automated. So let us say that there is a error in the transmitter generating the work order. That can be a trigger for the maintenance crew to say, there is something wrong with the transmitter, I need to repair that transmitter, right? So that is essentially digitalization. People don't have to keep monitoring the devices. The pressure is going more than 20, so the worker pulls the lever and stops the process, right? That is purely manual process. That is opposite of what we are talking in digitalization. When you digitalize a process, and essentially, why digitalize only one process? Then you will digitalize the second process, then you will digitalize the third process. For example, going back to the academic institute, why should you digitize only the course registration process? At the end of the year, or at the end of the academic term, there is going to be an examination, and the grades have to be the marks have to be uploaded for the students who had registered for the course. Now, I do know, once again, this is from my personal experience, I do know there are a lot of universities in India where a paper sheet is created of all the marks, and then the paper sheet is submitted, sealed envelope. I still know all these exist, right? However, many organizations, many academic institutes are now moving towards asking their evaluators to upload an Excel sheet saying that this is the enrollment ID of the student, these are the marks obtained out of 100, out of 50, or whatever was the examination for. And then there is an IT system that records all the marks, right, and displays it to the student saying that, well, if you have this enrollment ID, then these are your marks, right? Slowly, most of the academic institutes in India are moving towards that, but that is essentially that's my argument. We are slowly moving towards digitizing our processes. Digitizing our processes is digitalization, right? So then we say, registration process is digitized, my grade upload or the marks upload process is digitized, then some other academic process is digitized, some other academic process is digitized, and therefore once I do enough of these processes in the digital world, I essentially have a digital business, right? Everything here is online, right? Everything here is digital. Nobody enters manually, right? So essentially there are processes which collect data in the digital format itself. The process itself is digital. What are the advantages of digital process against digitization? Right, here we are talking about digitization, right? Digitization was about an element, right? A document or a measurement or a drawing, right? Here we are talking about process. What do I understand by process? Because process is going to have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, right? Essentially, process is getting the inputs and getting some output, right? So when the student requests that these are the courses that I wish to credit, it's an input to the registration process. Now there is going to be step 1 where the student requests. Step 2 could actually be somebody approving it, right? There are some academic institutes where there is a faculty advisor. There are some other academic institutes where there is a course instructor. There are some faculty, some HOD, right? Somewhere it has to go through a series of approvals saying that, can this student actually credit this course? Can this student register for the course? The student has not paid fee, therefore they are not eligible. So all this will have to be looked at. So there is an approval sequence. Going through this approval sequence is essentially the process, right? That's why we want to digitize the process, because we will actually digitize the entire approval sequence. What is the advantage of digitizing the approval sequence, because then nobody has to physically move file, right? Remember old offices that now we see on TV and old movies, right? Somebody will take a file, move it to the next desk, move it to the next desk, move it to the next desk. Still there are offices which continue to do that, but slowly we are moving towards digital movement of these activities, right? Therefore digital approval of these activities. Digitalization or digitization of the processes helps me achieve this approval cycle, right? Why is that approval better on the digital space? Because I can track, right? If today I had submitted a request in a paper form and I wish to know where is my paper, how do I know? That paper must be physically somewhere, right, on some desk waiting for some approval. I won't know, I won't have visibility. In the digital space, I will have visibility. I will know exactly, it has completed these 2 approvals, it is waiting for the 3rd approval, right? Therefore digitalization is important in that sense, because everybody in the supply chain gets visibility. Is visibility the only reason? No. Once there is visibility, right? Once there is visibility, if somebody is sitting on the paper for week, 10 days, 15 days without approving, right? Everybody has visibility, so it can be pointed out, why are you waiting, why are you not approving the registration? So then they will say, no, I'm waiting for this data, that data. So it can be expedited. Visibility is important because it expedites the process, and therefore it reduces the time between, it reduces what is called as the throughput time. Remember our discussion on throughput time? So digitalization essentially helps us reduce the throughput time. If it reduces the throughput time, it increases the efficiency of the entire process, right? So digitalization is looked at as a operational excellence exercise. I can achieve operational excellence by digitalization, and because of things like this, I can improve efficiency, I can improve visibility, I can improve accountability. As I said earlier, if somebody is waiting on a task, not approving in the digital space, I can hold the person accountable. Why are you not approving, right? If I generate enough MIS records, it will show up somewhere that this person took on an average 7 days to approve the registration task, right? And somebody else took only 3 days to approve the registration task. So people can be held accountable for their actions. All these are advantages of digitalization. All these are now being brought about in a big way through Industry 4.0. A lot of business processes are now getting digitalized, right? That's the argument. We are definitely not talking about academic institutes getting into digital mode. We are talking about industry getting into digital mode. The example of academics was only provided because that is more closer to all of us, right? I am in the academic institutes. Most of you are in the academic institutes. And therefore that example is closer to our day-to-day activities. Taking specific examples of digitalization from manufacturing industry, we have mentioned PLC logic, we have mentioned ERP triggers, right? All those are examples, right? The shutdown logic, right? Some automated shutdown logic saying that if the pressure goes beyond, if the pressure valve is not analog, if the pressure valve is digitalized, I know exactly what is the pressure, and therefore I can decide the thresholds, right? If there is a pipeline and I say, if the pressure goes beyond this, then shut down this valve, right? Shut down this valve. So that can, all those things can be triggered. So essentially digitalization helps me move towards automation. However, there is a difference between what do I understand by automation and what do I understand by digitalization. There is one more advantage of digitalization that we are yet to speak about, right? Let us do that now, or let us complete my discussion on digital transformation, and then I will come back and explain my understanding of what is the difference between automation and digitalization. Okay, I'll slowly come to that. So difference between digitization and digitalization: we generally digitize a document, but we digitalize a factory, right? So essentially digitizing a document is digitization, digitizing a process is digitalization, according to me. Okay, so that's the main difference. Now let us come to trends, right? Trends. I simply pulled a Google trend for digitization and digitalization. You can also do this. Go to Google Trends, and you can do this. So look at it. I pulled the data from 2004 till today, till actually yesterday. I plotted this yesterday. So Oh no, I plotted this earlier. I plotted the next. Okay, this was an older attempt. My next attempt is on the next sheet. Sorry, sorry for the confusion. So look at it. The red is for digitalization, and the blue is for digitalization. Digitalization has always been on the on the lower side compared to digitization. So for a long period of time, we were only looking at digitization, and this is Google trend, which means that this is not India trend. This is essentially global trend, right? So digitization was searched more, right, and therefore thought about more compared to digitalization, right? Only now, right, only around 2015 or so, only around 2015 or so, digitalization has started picking up. The slope has increased. So far the slope was pretty much the flat, pretty much a flat line. Now the digitalization slope has increased, and it has increased at a rate faster than digitization, and now digitalization is catching up with digitization. If we were to include digital transformation into all this, how does it look like? I have that plot also. This plot I did yesterday, right? This plot I did yesterday. I can definitely guarantee you that. Okay. So, so this is from 2004 till today. Once again, blue is for digitization, red is for digitalization, and the ochre, the yellow ochre, is digital transformation. I saw some spikes around 2004, but once again the yellow line, the ochre line, is flatter at the bottom. Is flatter at the bottom. Somewhere in 2015 or so, you can see this. You can see this digital transformation increasing in the trend, and now today the yellow curve is on top, and the blue and the red are much below it. Right? Look at this region. The yellow curve has formally taken over digitization and digitalization. Now, why is this 2014-2015 time space important for us? Remember, we spoke about in the first session. That's when the famous book on fourth industrial revolution came. That's when, just before that, 2013 or so, we spoke about Industry 4.0 report coming out in Germany. So when we started formally thinking about this Industry 4.0 initiatives, the serious thinking, looking for information on digital transformation has started increasing. The serious thinking about digitalization has started increasing, the red curve, right? And hopefully, if you do enough digitalization and enough smart digitalization, we will hopefully reach digital transformation, which is that yellow ochre curve, yellow/ochre curve, and that is slowly growing up, and we saw that is peaking up now. That has already peaked now. It is majorizing over digitization and digitalization. Why is the blue line not majorizing anymore? Remember, we have been thinking about digitization for the last 18 years or so. I mean, even before that. In the next couple of slides, in the next 10 slides, I will argue that we have been thinking about digitization for a long period of time, right? 30-40 years. And therefore we have kind of tapered on that. Therefore enough digitization has happened, not probably in the academic area, because we quoted some examples where we think a lot of universities are still based on paper, but a lot of digitization in industry has already happened. Now slowly, whoever has digitized long time ago, they are thinking about digitalization. Who have digitalized earlier, now they are thinking about digital transformation, right? So slowly the critical mass in the industry is starting to move towards digital transformation, which is that ochre curve. So what is digital transformation? Let us take a look at once again formal definition. Let us start with formal definitions. So this is the definition from IEEE. So it says a very profound transformation of business activities, right? Business activities, processes, competencies, and models. Remember, till digitalization, we were focused on, the focus is on digital technology, use of digital technology to optimize your processes. Why are we talking about optimization of processes? We are saying reduce the throughput time, increase the efficiency, maximize the efficiency, all that, right? So we were talking about digital technologies. Now the focus has shifted Obviously we want to use digital technologies, but the focus is not on implementing digital technologies. The focus has now shifted in transforming of business activities. That is the focus now. Okay, so far another important component of this definition is strategic manner, right? Okay, strategic and prioritized way. So far digitalization was always thought as an operational exercise. Oh, I'm digitalizing the process because I want to increase the efficiency. Now increasing the efficiency, I told you earlier, operational excellence modeling, right? Operational excellence modeling. Digital transformation is not operational priority anymore. It is a strategic priority, right? So in a manufacturing organization, let us say that there is a manager who is managing the assembly line. The manager of the assembly line can say that, oh, I want to digitalize my manufacturing process. Now that is digitalization of the manufacturing process. Digitalization, the earlier slide. The CEO of this organization will say, I'm interested in digitalization of the assembly line, but I'm also interested in digitalization of my all business activities, full transformation of my business activities, processes, competencies, models, right? So essentially we are looking at full business transformation using digital technology. That's what this definition indicates. There is a taxonomy I scoop. I don't know why I chose this particular taxonomy, but there are multiple, right? So doesn't matter. What is the alternative definition? So once again, clearly says why the reason that I selected this definition is it clearly says the focus is not on applying technology. Okay, it is not on technology. It is intelligent use of technology and information. So not only do I want to implement technology, I want to now start utilizing the information that comes out of a digitalized process. I want to start using that information in my decision making, right? So, and adopting to this new change, adopting to this new technology, adopting to this new way of collecting information, using that information. So once again, the focus is not on simply, I created an IT system. Creating an IT system is not digital transformation. It is still digitalization, right? So in digitalization, the focus was on designing IT processes to automate my physical processes, right? Here in digital transformation, we are thinking about completely revolutionizing the business activities as such. Okay, so that is the big difference. That's what we mean by digital transformation. Okay, continuing. So essentially, digital transformation, however, it has to come through digitalization. Only when I told you earlier, only when I digitalize each processes individually and then synchronize them, integrate them, automate them, that's what will happen, right? And that's what we will get in terms of business transformation. The businesses will transform not because I have digitalized a process or two. Business will transform if I have digitalization across my industry, across my organization, not industry, across my organization. Not only that, simply creating parallel digital lines for each process will not help. They have to be integrated, they have to be synced. The data has to be utilized across the processes. Now, if there is a trucking process which is digitalized, right? So I will know when the raw material is coming, right? Now that has to provide input to my manufacturing process that the raw material has arrived, right? So not only digitalization of the transportation process, digitalization of the manufacturing process will not give you business transformation. Business transformation will come when I integrate these processes, when I start taking decisions based on the digital data, digital information that is available to me, right? So that is the difference between business transformation and digitalization. Just like we said, digitization is important for digitalization. Digitization is important for digitalization. Similarly, digitalization is important for business transformation. Unless you digitize, you can't digitalize. Unless you digitalize, you can't transform your business. That's digital transformation, right? So when do you say you have achieved digital transformation? When you achieve business transformation through digitalization. Okay, so and it is changing, right? It is changing the way business processes are enabled because I have real-time information available. When I had not digitalized my processes, everything was analog. My processes were analog, my approvals were analog. So I had no visibility, and therefore I had no accountability, I had no decision making capability, right? All that is changing now. Since these new age technologies are real time. So for example, we have discussed when we spoke about the sensor data, right? Sensorization is actually digitalization. Earlier, the temperature data from a particular asset was measured 3 times a day, 4 times a day by a person, recorded on a sheet and then brought to me, right? Now if I have a sensor which measures the temperature and provides the data real time, I can actually look at the trend data and I can actually take decisions in real time. So sensorization is a use of digital technology, right? IT system is a use of digital technology. So all that is changing the way businesses are enabled. All that is changing the way business processes are getting changed. So that is a major change, right? That is what Industry 4.0 talks about. Right. Before I get into digital transformation or digitalization in manufacturing industry, let me come back and answer that earlier debate that I started. What is the difference between automation and digitalization? My argument is automation comes first, digitalization will come later. So let us say that I have robots in my plant, right? Right, robots have been told this is the process, and they have been told these are the SOPs, and I had given you example, a paint job for a car, right? Now most of the painting of car bodies is done by robots. Robotic arms spraying paints has been automated. We don't say that it has been digitalized. We say that painting job is automated, right? SOPs are given, the robots have specific commands, and we will talk about those commands, right? We'll talk about those commands, and essentially they execute those commands, right? So it is a very nice mechanism, because first of all you have removed a human being from the whole operation, because painting jobs are health wise not so great, hazardous for human body. Inhaling those paints is bad for health. So good thing that you have removed people from those kinds of hazardous jobs. Using robots have definitely increased your efficiency. All that has happened, but there are standard operating procedures, right? Which makes the process very robust. But the problem is it makes the process very deterministic. Very deterministic. So in my opinion, this is an example of automation, but it is not an example of digitalization. What do I mean by digitalization? I told you the purpose of digitalization is not simply to implement. The purpose of digital transformation is not simply implementing digital technologies. It is to get data from digital technologies and actually start using that information. I spoke about accountability, right? How do I get accountability from that approval cycle? Only when I start using that information. Oh, somebody has not approved, I should hold that person accountable, right? So that's how I use digital information that is created by digitalization, right? So what is an example of digitalization for me? Here, if things are uncertain, right? For example, let us say that it's a completely automated factory. Automated factory. We have not discussed automated factory in this course before. So let us say that not only the paint job, but the entire production process is controlled, right, through data, right? That's a completely digital factory. Let me talk about digital factory. Automated factory, robots doing everything is automated factory. What is a digital factory? Digital factory is I decide what car to produce depending on what demand is getting generated, right? I have visibility on real time demand, right? And therefore I know how to change my production schedule. So for example, for a car manufacturer, there are 3 models of car, A, B, C, and I had some scheduling done, saying that I will make 10 A's today, I will make 3 B's, and I will make 17 C's, right? That was the schedule decided. Now, since I have real-time demand information available, based on the real-time demand, I may change the production schedule. Now I'm not making only 17. I'm not making 17 Model C. I'm making only 10 Model C because the demand for Model C has come down. Demand for Model B has gone up. So now I'm making 15 Model B. Right. If there is a change in schedule, robots have to be informed that there is a change in schedule. So the painting, right? Probably the models are of different colors, models are of different sizes, right? Therefore, the automated instruction that is given to the robot or robotic arms to paint has to change, right? Now, robots are still doing the job, so that is still automation, right? But because of digitalization, because of digital transformation, now I am able to handle uncertainties. Now I am able to change the schedule. I am able to change the schedule, and then I want my robots to understand that I have changed the schedule. That information will also be available to them. So in real time, they decide what to paint, how much to paint, depending on what model is coming in front of them, right? So that enabling of that is essentially the difference between digitalization or digital transformation and automation. So automation helps, but digital transformation will actually help us take care of uncertainties. That's my argument, right? So essentially uncertainty handling, right? And how can I handle uncertainty? I can handle uncertainty because automation is now paired with data. I have anyway automated my process, so I'm able to tell my robot quickly, right? Oh, don't do this, right? But I'm able to take these decisions last minute. I don't have to do some whole change. Don't have to send 5 different letters, and don't have to do a lot of setup. So digital transformation is essentially going beyond simply automating the process. Automating the process, we have done it. Robots used to do that 40-50 years ago. We had robots, but we didn't say at that time that we had digitally transformed our business. That is not digital transformation. Okay, so that, according to me, is the difference between digital transformation or digitalization, in even digitalization of the process, right? Even digitalization of the paint process. Even if you don't go to digital transformation, even if you digitalization of the painting process and automation of the painting process, according to me, that's the difference, right? According to me, that is the difference. Okay, now let us talk about digitalization of the manufacturing industry.